Right, so up next we have Rory Moon of OpsWeaver, who is going to talk about automation versus AI, what the heck the difference is, and how to figure out which one you might actually need and which one might actually be helpful to you in your business. All right, take it away, Rory.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just a little bit about me. I was in the nuclear power operations industry for a real long time and got out of that to do, part-time. I was also learning about automation and how businesses work and systems and stuff like that. Um, and, you know, I just like being able to, find where the bottlenecks are in people's businesses and help people, um, kind of get out of where they're stuck. And so there's lots of different ways to do that. One of the first things is to find out about what your systems are. And that's part of what Lark was talking about is finding out what your systems are. Every part of your business has a system, whether you know it or not. And so it helps to kind of document where you're at and find out, what's going on so we can move forward. But I just kind of want to talk a little about, things people hear about, which is automation or AI and what's the difference, how they can uh, how we can use them, separately or together. And I'll give some examples of that. Let me share this. So, just kind of gauge where we're at. I know you're into some of this, Clark, but I'll just kind of ask, for other people, what have you tried AI in the last 3 months? Is that something you've dabbled in? What do you know about it? Has it actually saved you time? I know sometimes I'll spend hours coming up with a great plan with AI, like I'm going to do this thing, it's a great plan. And then maybe the next day I forget that I even did it. It just didn't resonate with me or it didn't fit or it didn't match what I actually needed or wanted to do. And the other thing is, are you automating anything? So some of the common examples or tools that people use are Zapier, Make.com, N8N. There's some others, but those are, common software that will connect the tools you're already using together to make things go smooth. Um, so kind of what I'm going to cover here real quick, while I'm talking is the actual difference between automation and AI, and a metaphor you'll actually remember. Some beginner uses for each that help reduce decision fatigue, framework to help you figure out what you should automate first. And then I'll give an example of how I'm combining them to build an app that helps remind ADHD brains of positive feedback when they're spiraling and help focus on a task to actually get momentum. Because if you're like me, momentum is key uh, for good, for good and bad. If you're stuck, it's hard to get going. And if you're actually moving and following through with the project, you know how powerful and good that feels. So first of all, uh, automation versus AI. I like the cooking analogy. You think of automation as like a recipe. If for somebody that doesn't know how to cook or somebody makes you something like, oh, I want to make that and I want to make it exactly how they did, they give you a recipe. And if you don't have one of the ingredients, the whole thing sort of falls apart. And that's kind of how automation works. You connect a bunch of software together, but if you're missing a key ingredient, then it's not going to work. Whereas AI is like a chef. They know their way around, the context of food, how things work together, can be creative, um, you know, come up come up with creative solutions. So, what is really cool is when, we combine them together. But before we get to that, we'll just talk about some beginner automation uses. One of them is using a digital form. That's really awesome when you can get away from paper forms and get to digital forms because then you can use that information to connect to other places. So one thing I like to do is collecting form data and automatically sending it to a spreadsheet. So let's say somebody's interested in your business and they fill out a form, then that data automatically shows up in your system, whether you're using uh, Google Sheets or Airtable or some other kind of database like software. You can get their information instantly. There's no copying and pasting. And we all know how boring that can be. Another good example is appointment sequences. If somebody new books an event with you or an existing client books a meeting with you, they can send out automatic confirmations and reminders and maybe prep instructions. And all of this can be really customizable with um, Zapier or Make.com. If you connect your like Calendly to Make and to email. And a lot of these booking software, they automatically, you can set up automatic, settings for certain emails. But if you want to be more specific or granular, you can really customize a lot with automation software. Third common example is if somebody pays you, um, you want to let people know, hey, I got your money, thanks. And then maybe you want to track that payment somewhere for records later. Maybe it goes to a dashboard. Um, but you want to send out receipt emails, or maybe it triggers like an onboarding process or something else that let's say when Stripe event, then it can trigger. It could go to QuickBooks or all sorts of places. So those are you know beginner automation uses. And remember, these are like recipes. These are examples are good for tasks that you do the exact same way every time. For AI uses, a lot of people are familiar with AI, but if you're not, um, some of the great uses of AI are like meeting notes, like for like I use Fathom, um, but the Fireflies, Otter, there's lots of good things out there. Um, even a lot of AI places have voice notes. That's a good option for people that talk better than they type or write, is you can talk into AI and it can give you a transcript, which then you can use for um, all sorts of things. Like, let's say you have to create something, like if you're writing something and you're getting that blank page mental block, AI is good for helping you get a first draft, bullet points, or context. You can feed it in context. So here's something I've already created and kind of want to work with, but how do I get it to something that you know, is more palatable or better fits the situation I want to use? AI is good for that. Another way you can, a lot of like Gmail or email services are starting to implement AI, and you can use them to, help create some rules to, flag urgent messages versus routine, help you prioritize. Um, it kind of ties back to the second one. They'll help you draft responses, things like that. So the key for these is these handle tasks that where judgment, needing judgment that might kind of drain your energy. And we're all trying to save that executive function energy for the things that really matter. Um, so, so those are the automation and AI examples, but when we can combine them, we get some really cool things. So one of the things that I've done a lot with is a proposal generator. I like talking with people on consultation calls, and I can tell they want to work with me. They say they want to work with me, and now I need to give them an official proposal and ask for money and all that. And that's when I, can sometimes lock up and get that blank page uh, mental block. So what AI can do is it can analyze consultation call um, if you recorded it, or you can fill out a form with the important information that you remember from the call, and then it can create the copy for the proposal, the written words that will be engaging to them. And then the automation part is, once the AI content is created, it can convert it to a PDF or proposal, or if you use like a proposal software like PandaDoc, it can automatically create things for you to review, and then you can send it out and update your CRM, all those things. So the result is, 20 minutes of work instead of 3 hours, and they get a proposal quicker when they're more engaged. 'Cause the longer it takes for people to tell that you're working on what they want and communicating with them, the more likely they'll be to get, um, find somebody else or lose interest. Something I kind of alluded to earlier, the project that I'm working on. Like I realized for myself, and this is, something I just created to solve my own problem. It's a little more personal, but um, I realized that I was not feeling very confident in some things I wanted to learn and market, and I realized that um, I'd done a lot of cool things in life, but I didn't remember what they were. It was hard for me to have that remember, like, okay, I did something cool and it relates to this other thing that I wanted to do. I kind of compartmentalized. I did this thing in one area of life, but not in this other area of life. And, those skills that we've done translate. So what I did was created a list, a database list of, cool things that I've done, and I uh, tagged them for relationship or work or um, hobbies, things like that. Then I created an automation that would automatically send me like a daily reminder. And it also would look at my task list and go, here's a priority thing you need to do. And compared to one of these cool things that you did or hard things you've done, here's how you're going to crush this task. And I'll just walk through a little, you know, here's a like a tr example in Trello. You can't see this real well. It doesn't matter. But like up here, I had work task lists for, um, different parts of, different priority tasks and, for marketing or sales. And then I also had um, I created a list of positive wins. Like, here's something cool I did, here's various things, cool or hard things or things that I'm proud of. And then the automation would use AI to kind of combine the two to give me like a, example of, hey, you have to go give this presentation to these people. I might be nervous about that, but it'll say, okay, you were in theater and you memorized stuff and you performed for people in the past. So you can give a presentation because it uses the same skills. So that kind of gives me the momentum to get ready and prepare the presentation and the confidence to go talk with people. So like I built this in make.com. So I like make.com because it's kind of visual. Um, you know, the way it would work is it would look up in Trello all the positive things that I've done, and then it would look through all my current high priority tasks I need to get done. And then I have this AI module that would kind of combine the two and match them up with match a high priority task with a positive event, and then output it however I wanted. So like I would say, it would send me an email. So that's kind of an example of how you can combine automation and AI to give you an output that solves your problem. So for your case, okay, where do I start? So I've got a flowchart tool for you. I'll post this. I'll make sure Lark can send this out to anybody that wants it. Let me see. Are you able to see that, Lark? Let's see. Do I need to make this another? I can go off dark mode if it's hard to see.
No, I can see it.
Okay. So this little tool I made for, what to automate first. Um, so you're like, okay, I know I need to automate something. Where do I start? This is just a simple framework. So uh, part one is a decision flow chart where you just kind of identify where your biggest pain points are. And it'll let you know, is this an AI opportunity, an automation opportunity, or a hybrid? Um, part two is a current process map worksheet. Just kind of document your processes. And this can either become a blueprint or you can bring it to a consultant for a strategy session. Um, why document your current process? Because you can't improve what you can't see. So this kind of forces you to, see what you're doing. Some people are detail oriented, some people are big picture oriented, and sometimes it's kind of good to spend some time on the other side to get a good full picture of where you're at so that you can move forward. So it's you start here. What task do you do the same way every time? Based on the questions, you move forward. Second question is, does this task involve moving data between multiple systems? Question three, does this task require creative judgment or drafting? And it just tells you what path to go. So there's four paths here. Like it might be high ROI automation, simple automation, AI for drafting analysis, hybrid, which is AI plus automation. And there's a current process map worksheet just to kind of track how you're doing things, current steps. And there's examples down here to help you understand what to do. Um, where you can write here, you write down your current tools and systems. What parts are frustrating? What's the end result when the process is complete? What does good look like? And then kind of the next step. So I've got my link here. If anybody wants to reach out to me, I'm happy to give a consultation um, and then provide a roadmap and systems. So I don't implement systems for people, but if you are stuck and you kind of need some momentum, I'm like the momentum giver. I can give you a roadmap of from where you're at now to where you want to go. I can give you tools for how to either help you build it yourself or find a team member to, manage your stuff. Really have a good relationship of making sure you're consistently getting what you need. So that's happy to provide this for anybody that needs it. And then if anybody is interested in learning about um, the the app I'm building, I guess I don't know if I said that explicitly. I'm working on building like a phone app called Gladly Gradual that is a phone version of the tool I explained earlier about a place to document things that you've done that are hard, um, and um, and also a place to journal and a place to get reminders of help you build confidence and um, yeah. So that's I got a sign up form that we can send out if anybody wants to follow the progress. And there's also a link to my Substack, also called Gladly Gradual, where I just kind of talk about this building process and career change and confidence building and ADHD life. So, but thank you for hosting. It's been great to hang out.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Rory. Cool.